2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we are going to talk about, of course, now a lot of folks are actually coming around that something massive is about to happen. Again, the country is actually building a massive golden dome system. Not so much a physical dome, but a protective system around our country. We have yet another actual ship moving into place over right next to our southern border to back up the other destroyer that's already there. Of course, there is now mainstream media talking about this, and even independents talking about the reasons why something massive is happening. And these are all things that we have talked about and more. So again, there is just a ton to talk about, but 7 actions that NATO countries are taking, which indicate that something really big is coming. Now, we're going to add on to this because there's plenty more. In fact, there is just absolute ton of stuff that people are not connecting, and regular people that are working 9 to 5s that don't have the time to follow this every single day because they're just trying to get by. There is a ton that says that we are headed towards something absolutely massive. Now, before we get started, I do want to remind you guys there is something very awesome that we've worked on for a while now to get going, which is a Marfoogle News exclusive giveaway from EMP Shield. Now, you guys know about EMP Shield. We've recommended this for protection against not only EMP strikes, but also against a Carrington-level event from the sun. This is the same company that outfits agencies like DHS and DoD, and on the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. Well, we've worked together with EMP Shield to do a giveaway. Marfooglenews.com/giveaway. Again, you can end up winning one of 5 EMP Shields or even $1,000 at Grid Down, which again, Grid Down makes the bug out. Again, one of the solar generators that we recommend. So again, badass generator, but also protected against EMP and, of course, Carrington level events. So yeah, go check it out at marfooglenews.com/giveaway. That is going to go for, I think, another 17 days, and it is exclusive to us. This is not a giveaway that 5 other channels are doing. It is just us. So again, go fill it out, marfooglenews.com/giveaway. All right, let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine. And by the way, they also are running a sale right now in conjunction with the giveaway, which combines with our discount code. So check it out. You can see it on that link as well. Same link. Just scroll down.
Yeah, anytime there's any sale at EMP Shield, I think there's only 2 affiliates that do that. Ours stack on top of any sale. So if there's a big Black Friday or something like that, it always is going to stack on top of that. All right, so they, Tyler Durden over at Zero Hedge, the acronym here, goes over the 7 actions that they're taking. And you'd be surprised that these 7 actions are pretty obvious and pretty out there. But a couple of these, it's like a lot of people don't even realize this is happening. I think that this is part of probably hundreds of actions that they are taking. Dex, do you want to go over number 1 and 2 and talk about that?
Yeah, so sure. The first one is France is getting ready to distribute a 20-page survival manual that instructs citizens what to do if a full-blown war erupts. You may have heard that on our channel. We talked about it the other night. But they're setting this 20-page booklet to give advice to the French civilians on how to defend the Republic in the face of an invasion. I think the first page says call America, but I'll digress. Number 2, the French government is also telling their citizens to leave. Get this, leave Iran immediately. French authorities on Thursday requested its citizens to immediately leave the territory of Iran. So they are suspecting that something's going on there at a big level.
And this is something that about 2 months ago, I asked a submariner. It was somebody I actually was just doing a transactional thing with through Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, it ended up being. So this was somebody who was in a submarine for most of the year and was basically on leave and ended up getting something off of me. I ended up talking to him. I said, hey, do you think that there's going to be a war in China? Do you think we're going to go to war with China? He said, don't know about war with China, but I definitely think we are going to go to war with in the Middle East. So he was sure about that. And of course, my view is that we are going to war with China. So I was kind of taken aback, but again, with everything, this was right before all of this stuff really popped off with the Middle East. It was after October, it was after all of that, but it was before one of the big events that ended up happening. I think it was True Promise number 2. So we are now still waiting for True Promise 3, which is Iran's response. And of course, Israel has had rumors floating around it that they are going to strike Iran. And when they do, they say that they are going to specifically strike nuclear sites, sites that would be, definitely prudent in them making nuclear weapons. So with this, it says for them to say leave Iran immediately, this happens right before something goes down. We've covered these things when there's basically a notice to a citizens of any country says, hey, leave Lebanon or leave here. Within a certain amount of time, usually something pops off. And number 3, it is being reported that military planners in the UK have ordered special forces units to get ready to be sent to Ukraine. Special forces units were told to prepare for mobilization to Ukraine by military planners tasked with readying forces for the cabinet office, according to 2 military sources with knowledge on the directive. Now, all of these could, again, this one could definitely be propaganda. It could be something that's purposely supposed to be put out. But it says the Command Center for UK Military Planning, the permanent joint headquarters, was sent directives last week to begin process for the deployment of personnel and resources. The orders, which also applied to Special Forces reservists, put personnel on standby in order to ensure military equipment is in working order before receiving notice to mobilize in Ukraine. This is something we have talked about. Europe has essentially said they were talking about peace units or, peacekeepers being sent there. We're talking about 30,000 plus that they were speaking about going into Ukraine. These are European, if not directly UK, soldiers that are going to be sent into Ukraine. This is, of course, after North Korea ended up joining Russia, and you have multiple countries that are now talking to each other, and now many that have had these pacts. Turkey has announced it would also be willing to deploy troops to Ukraine if needed. Turkey would be ready to deploy troops to Ukraine as part of a broader peacekeeping mission if needed, a Turkish Defense Ministry source said on Thursday. Now, I don't think this is crazy, considering Turkey is on the other end of an op that most people believe that was an op, which was Syria getting taken over in 11 days by a group led up by a revolutionary that was an Al-Qaeda guy, and then now is a blazer-wearing revolutionary that somehow put together all of these different groups and took over Syria and Bashar al-Assad's regime in just 11 days. Just forget that the 11 days that he was doing this, there was also simultaneously strikes by the U.S. and by Israel in very strategic points. I'm sure that helped just a little bit. But again, Turkey is on the other side of that, and Turkey has, it looks like, secretly been working with a lot of people because now they, of course, are potentially in Iran, or they are in, Syria, with their tanks and things being spotted and with their troops being spotted. It was called by an invasion by many on X. But as far as an invasion, we don't know that. But we do know that Turkish forces were in there. So they're getting the beneficial thing. They've wanted Syria for a very long time. Now all of a sudden they do. Now, all of a sudden, you might have their forces in Ukraine, backing up Ukraine. Well, somebody has to because they're out of manpower. Dex, do you want to go over 5 and 7?
Yeah, number 5, Poland is preparing to face down an invasion by Vladimir Putin by conscripting every adult male for military training. But the Eastern European nation also wants nukes. So if you recall, we talked about this. They said that they wanted and asked the U.S. that could send some of its arsenal to its country. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but they certainly are asking for it. They've asked for it numerous times. And the Baltic states are also building a joint defense line on their border with Russia that will have some 600 bunkers across each border. It also includes tank ditches, forests, and dragon's teeth, hedgehogs, and rocket systems. Poland and the Baltics have also withdrawn an international treaty banning anti-personnel landmines as they prepare to stop the advancing of Russian army in its tracks, so to speak. And I think Poland also has those dragon's teeth in them. We reported that, over a year ago.
So when the question is asked, what do they know that we don't? I don't think there's much. In fact, I think that our community and the people, my peers, have been saying this for a long time. Most of this has been smaller things that are not crazy to connect. In fact, they are directly connected from the get-go. They are just drip fed into the public to where people aren't connecting it because one is 4 days old, one is 8 days old, one is 9 days old. And then, of course, all of a sudden, people forget that the day before this happened or that happened. Most all of this is just part of a ton of other things that are going on right now, like the U.S. creating a golden dome system, much like the Iron Dome, only supposedly far superior and involving space. Speaking of space, it's just funny that something comes down over California specifically in the last 48 hours, and it was spotted by many Californians. If you were outside, you might have seen it yourself. Again, this is what we're going to be talking about over on Marfoogle News. An object that to many looked way too big to be a meteor, or at least one that was going to be brought up. This thing was, again, looks like some sort of satellite or bigger. Heck, it was so big I thought, man, is that a space station? This came down over California, and it made me think, if this was something that was brought down, if it was something that was hovering over California, and all of a sudden it loses all power, would it come down straight down where it is over? Or what are the odds that if this is space junk, which initially they said, well, we're thinking it's some sort of space junk, why isn't it an asteroid? Why are they declaring it's most likely space junk? And if it is space junk, what are the odds that it would come down right over California, where, of course, we have a ton of stuff going on? Let me ask you that question and you answer in the chat below. Is there more reasons that you've been telling your friends why you believe that a war is coming? Leave them down in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. But and many of you probably know reasons we have talked about in the last 2 weeks, including moving in destroyers for the Mexican, the Mexican terrorists down in the southern border, and moving thousands, tens of thousands of troops around, of course, moving weapons and all sorts of other things. Dex, go ahead.
Well, how about the weapons or the underwater cable cuts that have happened? We've got the blaming of Putin for all of the events that have happened throughout Europe, mostly fires and sabotaging of locations and places, as well as a plane, a DHL plane, and activity that was going on there. And then just recently, the airport in London, having the power station mysteriously taken out and the backup systems taken out. So the airport was closed for 3 days, and they're blaming Putin. All of these are signs. All of these are big things. Whether they're real or not, they're certainly being messaged to prime the public for what is coming.
And of course, the letter that Donald Trump gave Iran, giving them a 2-month deadline to stop all of this and to essentially reach a new nuclear agreement. Do you think that's going to happen with everything that's gone down, the multiple leaders that were taken out, all of the murals lying around Iran of their heroes? I don't think that they're going to budge on this one. But again, let us hear your opinions down below. We would love to hear from you, and join us for the next show. There's even more going on. This is just a part of it. There's absolute proof right in front of our faces that we are heading right into a war, and most people are complacent and think that nothing is about to happen. I would highly recommend getting prepared with food and water first, then after that medicine, and then after that stuff, make sure to get yourself protected. Things against EMP, things against any kind of attack. Because as we know, anytime something big has happened, our country has not been the best at responding. At least there are governmental agencies. So again, go check it out. Of course, our website, you can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over on our website. Again, that is at marfooglenews.com. Proof something massive is coming. All right, we'll see you in just a few minutes. If you're in the chat, just stay there. You'll be ported over to our next show, which will go over in depth everything else that's happened over the last 24 hours. Not to mention a ton more. So again, join us over there. If you're watching the replay, all you have to do is click here. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Nobody's got time for toenails.